Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Chara, zor-el here with a new video for you. Welcome to Season 1, Part 4 of What If the Big Three Were in One Name. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. If there was one thing that Mirio Togata didn't like, it was villains. People who preyed upon the weak or made decisions that hurt others. And now, he had to pretend that two of his friends were villains. It's all just an exercise for class, Mirio reminded himself, but he was having a hard time picturing Nejire or Tamaki as being evildoers who needed to be taken down. He did have the option of avoiding them entirely and trying to call for backup. Mirio knew that wasn't the right option, though. There was no way the others wouldn't find him before he made it to the roof of the building. I'm gonna have to do this the hard way, he decided. Mirio hopped up and down a few times and shook his arms and legs to warm up. He took a deep breath and headed into the building. The battle trail had begun. He made his way through the various hallways, phasing through walls and checking out every room. The first floor was clear, so he headed up. This is one way to get my cardio in, he muttered as he went up flight after flight of stairs. He scouted out the second floor, then made his way to the third. As he walked down a long hallway, he paused. What was that? He tiptoed a bit further. He definitely had heard something. Peeking around the corner, he saw a blur of movement at the other end of the hall. Mirio slowly followed. He was almost there when a burst of light shot towards him. He phased through it just in time. Darn it! Nejire came out of the shadows. Her hands were extended forward, ready to attack. I knew I heard something, Mirio said as he assumed a fighting stance. Nejire smiled. She wasn't intimidating at all. Very perceptive of you, Mr. Hero. She crept towards him. Mirio played along. Why, thank you, Miss Villain. Now tell me, where's the payload? Nejire laughed. It wasn't a supervillain laugh. It was high-pitched and cheery. Very cute. She really wasn't meant to be evil. I'll never tell you. Nejire scoffed. She let loose a barrage of consecutive blasts. Mirio barely had time to dodge. He tried phasing through them, but it was hard to get the timing right. One blast caught him on the shoulder and sent him sprawling. How was he gonna get past her? He really didn't want to hurt Nejire. But this exercise was meant to simulate a real battle. What would he do if he actually met a villain? Mirio phased through the floor, trying to buy some time. He went for a surprise attack, popping up behind her. He threw a punch, aiming for Nejire's gut, but she blocked it and kicked him in the thigh. Mirio stumbled back. Ow! Mirio cried in response. Nejire advanced. I'm not holding back, so you shouldn't either, she said. Mirio braced himself. Nejire threw a couple of blasts. Mirio ducked, then sprang up. Just as expected, Nejire aimed towards him. He phased through the attack, then landed on top of her, pinning her down. Mirio looked at her in triumph. Now you can't use your quirk. Oh, really? Nejire smirked. She pointed her toes and let out a huge burst of energy from her feet, propelling her and Mirio forward. Whoa! Mirio yelled. He let her go and rolled away. Nejire recovered fast and shot at him. This time Mirio couldn't get away in time. His vision started to blur. Sorry, Mirio. Nejire apologized. She crouched next to him, ready to tie him up. Mirio's head lolled back. He was vaguely aware of the rope becoming tighter around his wrists. Once she tied the knot, it would be over. I can't lose, Mirio thought. In one quick movement, he phased through the ropes, then leapt at Nejire. She gave a shout of surprise as Mirio phased through her. I apologize for that, Mirio said from behind her. And for this. He aimed a swift kick to her head. Nejire went flying. She slumped on the ground, dazed. Mirio hurried over. He checked to make sure she was okay, then tied her up. Nejire shook her head, slowly coming out of her confusion. Wow, she said. Good job. She gave a mischievous smile. But you still haven't won. Mirio sighed. I know. I still have to face Tamaki. It was time for his least favorite part of training, fighting his best friend. Good luck! Nejire called after him. This video is sponsored by Adobe. Adobe is redefining the digital experience through game-changing innovations that shape the next generation of storytelling. Adobe makes it easy to create, edit, and share digital documents securely, allowing you to collaborate and communicate across devices. Adobe Photoshop is your go-to application for faster graphics editing and digital art as a whole. At We the Celestials, all our thumbnails across every channel are created with Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Premiere Pro is a timeline-based and non-linear video editing software application that is versatile and easy for beginning and master editors. Finally, Adobe After Effects is the industry standard tool for digital visual effects, motion graphics, and compositing applications used in post-production. Many of our voice actors, audio editors, and video editors use Premiere Pro and After Effects to produce these high-quality videos. Click the link in the description to start creating now, and thank you so much, Adobe, for sponsoring this video. Mirio finally made it to the top floor. He paused a moment to catch his breath. How would he approach this? He knew he was going to have to fight Tamaki one-on-one. Should he try to get the jump on him? Mirio thought about what Tamaki would do. He'd probably wait for Mirio to make the first move. Tamaki knew him better than almost anyone else. This battle was going to be very difficult for both of them. Well, I might as well do what he expects, Mirio thought. Mirio rushed into the only room on the floor. He went in, ready for anything, but there was no one there. The payload was completely unguarded. Where was Tamaki? Mirio slowly crept forward. This was all some kind of trap, right? Tamaki! I know you're there! He called out. There was no way he could win this easily, and there wasn't a chance in the world that Tamaki would just give up. Mirio warily walked further into the room. He was 2 steps away from the payload. He could reach out his hand and win this whole thing. But then he heard a groan from across the room. He whipped his head around. Tamaki? His gaze landed on a pile of rubble in the far corner. He had thought it was from a previous battle, but when he looked up, there was rubble still crumbling to the floor. This section of the ceiling had collapsed just recently. Oh no, he whispered. He ran to the pile and started moving chunks of rock out of the way. Please, please, he repeated over and over as he moved piece after piece of concrete. Tamaki wasn't under here. He couldn't be. He muttered it under his breath as if saying it out loud would will it to be true. But his delusion was shattered when he heard coughing from underneath the rubble. Tamaki! Mirio cried. He dug harder. He moved another piece and found a hand. It was scraped and bloody. Mirio choked back tears and gently started lifting Tamaki out. Hey, hey! He shouted. Wake up! Are you okay? Tamaki groaned and coughed again. Mirio dragged him away from the rubble. How could this happen? Were the teachers aware of this? Why weren't they helping? Don't worry, Mirio said, trying to stay calm. You're gonna be fine. Tamaki's eyes fluttered open. Oh, thank goodness. Mirio sighed in relief. Mirio, Tamaki said weakly. Yeah? Mirio said. He leaned closer. Tamaki swallowed hard. I'm sorry. For what? Mirio asked. For this! Without warning, Tamaki sprang up and used his quirk to manifest tentacles. He grabbed Mirio and tried to tie up his hands. Mirio was stunned for a moment, but phased through Tamaki's grip. Tamaki changed tactics and started rushing him. He came at him faster and faster. Mirio dodged, blocked, phased, and ran, but he couldn't avoid every attack. Tamaki struck him with the tentacle, and Mirio reeled back. He clutched his stomach. What? Wait, so it was all an act? You weren't hurt? Tamaki shook his hand out. The ceiling was already giving away. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. All I had to do was break it the rest of the way, crawl under the rubble, and wait for you to come in. I scraped at my hands a bit, but it was worth it. Why would you do that? Mirio yelled. Do you know how worried I was? Yeah, Tamaki said as he advanced. I know that you're a hero through and through. I also knew I would have little chance of getting the upper hand unless I caught you off guard. Very sneaky, Mirio said. But all you've done is ticked me off. I figured, Tamaki shrugged, but I had to give it a shot. He sprang forward and started attacking again. He was backing Mirio into the corner. Mirio's thoughts ran in circles. He didn't know what to do. How would he get out of this one? He ducked and rolled, dodging Tamaki. In the corner of his eye, he saw the payload. He got an idea. So, Tamaki, Mirio said, how do you like being a villain? Tamaki kept his focus. I don't. I figured not, Mirio said. He threw a punch. Tamaki blocked it and tried to throw a clamshell at him. Mirio let it phase through his head. He slowly circled around. I'm not really liking playing it solo. How about for the next exercise you and I team up and be the heroes together? Tamaki smiled. If our teachers will let us. Sure. He aimed a kick at Mirio's leg. Mirio buckled. Wow, you've been practicing. Tamaki nodded. I do some training on my own. Of course. Mirio laughed. He glanced up. It was now or never. Mirio phased through the floor. Tamaki leapt back. While they had been fighting, Mirio had positioned himself so that Tamaki was directly between him and the payload. Now all he had to do was phase past Tamaki and pop up next to the payload. But Tamaki would be expecting that. Mirio couldn't stay under the ground forever. He couldn't stall forever. He had to make his move. He popped up out of the ground, inside the payload. Without hesitation, he phased out of it, then turned around and touched it. The battle was over. Tamaki let out a frustrated breath. You won, he said. He pulled his hood down and took off his mask. He was smiling. Congrats, Mirio. You deserve it. Mirio came over to Tamaki and shook his hand. Thanks for being a worthy opponent. Man, that was tough. Nejire sprinted in the room. Her hands were still tied up. Mirio beat us, didn't he? She asked. Tamaki nodded. Nejire stamped a foot in mock annoyance. Shoot! I was hoping Tamaki and I would come out on top. Next time, I guess. Mirio smiled and untied Nejire's hands. Sure thing. I don't expect facing you to ever be easy. Thanks for challenging me. Hey, Mirio, Tamaki said quietly. I'm sorry for tricking you. I was just trying to play the part. Did I go too far? No, you were great, Mirio assured him. That you were! All Might's voice came over their headsets. All three jumped. They had forgotten that their teacher and fellow classmates were watching them. Mirio scratched the back of his head. Thanks! Does this mean we can head back to class? Yes, All Might said. Come on back and we'll do a quick evaluation. Then I need to get you kids on your way to your next class. When Mirio, Tamaki, and Nejire joined their fellow classmates, All Might began their evaluation. So what do you think you did correctly, and what would you like to improve? Nejire spoke first. Well, I think I would take into consideration the fact that Mirio could phase through people. That got a few laughs. Then Nejire got more serious as she continued. Honestly, I should have done a better job at staying hidden. As soon as I gave Mirio a visible target, it was all over. I couldn't beat him one-on-one. Very astute of you, All Might said. It's good to realize your limitations. I suggest focusing on hand-to-hand combat training for a while to build up your skills. Okay, Nejire said. That seemed to cheer her up. All Might turned to Tamaki. What about you, young Amajiki? Tamaki flinched. Was there something you wanted to improve upon? All Might prodded. Tamaki slowly put his hood back up. I need to be faster, he said, barely above a whisper. All Might nodded. That's true, but I would say that speed was not your issue, but confidence. Once you decide to act, you need to put your all into it. Think, choose, and execute. We'll implement that into a lot of future lessons. Oh, okay, Tamaki said. There was a bit of relief in his voice. Mirio was up next. I think I learned that teamwork is a must. It was hard to strategize by myself, and there were multiple times when I almost lost. True as that may be, All Might interrupted, you did very well on your own. There are times when heroes have to be by themselves. But worry not. You will get to practice team situations in the future. Mirio smiled. Thank you, sir. Next came their classmates' thoughts. It was much the same as what All Might said. There were a few students who really knew their stuff. Mirio couldn't wait to train with them. After hero training concluded, the rest of the day flew by. Before he knew it, it was time to head home. Mirio waited for Tamaki outside of the school entrance. Hey, wait up! Nejire called. She sprinted up to Mirio. Tamaki was following her at a slower pace. Let's walk home together so we can talk more about training, she suggested. Of course, Mirio said. The students who had been enemies just a few hours before walked side by side. These classmates, these friends, would be Mirio's greatest allies. He looked up at the sky. You guys, he said, I'm so excited to see what tomorrow brings. Nejire nodded, beaming. Tamaki looked at Mirio. Yeah, he said. Mirio put his arms around their shoulders, and together, they walked away from UA. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before our video ends. Firstly, I'd like to thank our Patreons. BD Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Miles, Adam Zagil, Zil, XAVB03, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I'd like to thank all of our YouTube members. Toya Costa, Rob the King, Sithlord906, CF2364, and Knuckles, Rio Tempest, Angel Juarez, Donald C. Stewart, Brian Greer, and Demonized Fox. Thirdly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Fourthly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for new members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.